When you gaze at something but see nothing, when you listen for a sound but cannot hear it, when you try to grasp it and find it has no substance, then these three things that go beyond your mind are molded together in the one. Its surface doesn't shine, but nor is its base dull. Given this, it is only knowable as no thing. Confront it, it has no head. Come behind it, and it has no tail. If people could follow the ancient way, then they would be masters of the moment. And if you know this way, then you have seen the timeless way of the Tao. Back to nothingness and back to oneness. As I've mentioned before, a lot of themes are repeated in the Tao, and I think that's not to make the book intentionally 81 verses. I think it's to try to clarify the same concepts many, many different ways in the hopes that it finds some stickiness in your way of thinking, in your way of comprehending the Tao. At a fundamental level, everything is nothing. If you think of yourself, you apparently, as it would sort of seem and feel to yourself, you just appeared out of nowhere, right? You came from nothing. It was as though you woke up having never had gone to sleep. And what a strange, strange occurrence that is. And then what happens once you've completed your life? It appears as though you're going back to nothingness. But I don't say these words of nothingness and no thing and mean what you probably typically think of when you think of nothing. If you're thinking of lights out, there's just an extinguishing of all perception and awareness and consciousness. That's not what I'm talking about with nothing. Nothing is the fundamental nature of everything because nothing is the commensurate opposite of something. Something and nothing arise together. They come to be as one. And that's why we keep talking about, or as this verse says, they are molded together in one. What the Tao is saying here is these things happen at the same time. It's not one and then the other. It does appear that way in this sort of time-bound existence that is our current perception. And it appears as though spring becomes summer and summer becomes fall and fall becomes winter. But what actually happens is with the arising of spring arises also summer and also fall and also winter. They are all happening simultaneously. The one does not occur without the other. They arise as a duality, but in that duality, it is one thing. If you simply think of a coin, to give maybe an outdated example, if anyone still touches coins or knows what they are, there is, say, for example, here in the US, there's heads and tails. That's what we'll do when we flip a coin, to say heads or tails. The coin is one. Comprising the coin are two sides that both must remain in order for the coin to be a coin. You cannot have a front without a back to the coin. Even if you file down that tail side of the coin. You file it away, file it away, file it away, and maybe eventually you file it down until the coin is dust. Until the very last moment before that coin became dust, it still had a front and a back. Because that constitutes its oneness. That constitutes its being. And so in this way, the Tao is talking about you gaze at something but see nothing. You have to. These things, you're looking beyond the something and you're understanding accompanying that something is nothing. Embedded and attached to that something is also its nothingness. You listen for a sound, but you cannot hear it. Attached to that sound that you hear is also the silence that precedes it and the silence that comes after it. You can hear it because you first heard the silence. You can see something because prior to seeing that something, you were not seeing that. You try to grasp it and you find it has no substance. You have this concept of grasping a thing because prior to grasping it, you had no substance in your grip. Substance and non-substance are one in the same, in the sense that you cannot have one without the other. It's impossible. And in this same way, you are comprised of nothingness at your fundamental level. And it is from that nothingness that you can become something, and that you have become something. Here you are. It is you. And then someday we will say, well, there they were. Now they're gone. Gone where? Well, they're back to nothingness. But what does that imply? You are now back to nothingness because you are then once again going to become somethingness. And it's not an oscillating of something then nothing, then something then nothing. That's just a perceptive quality that we have, again, based in the fact that we are in this sort of time-bound reality that we are being presented with. But at their basic nature, the somethingness and the nothingness are coming together because one does not arise without the other in tow and in tandem attached to it. These are the same. And so the Tao is saying if you can look at something and see that it is nothing, if you can hear a sound and know that it is silence, right, then you're understanding that these are the two things that are happening together. And that's constituting either one of them being able to appear to be real at any given point in time. And if you can grasp that in the essence of the universe and the reality around you, then you are getting to a razor's edge close to comprehending the Tao.